Hey Luna, posting lingerie pics in the group chat isn't cool, a familiar female voice said beside me. I shot awake, realizing I'd gone back to the beginning of freshman year. How can this be? Are you just jealous my boobs are bigger? My roommate, Jessica, retorted with a sneer, tossing her head. The roommate who'd spoken huffed and climbed into bed, not saying anything else. I focused on Jessica. In my past life, she posted over a dozen lingerie pics in the new student group chat on day one, saying, "Tiny chest but my lingerie's even smaller, lol." Her showy act immediately brought mockery and ridicule on me from everyone in the group. Afterwards, Jessica, mortified and not wanting to face anyone, made up a story about being hacked and blamed it on me. She said I was a jealous B*TCH who intentionally ruined her reputation, even claiming the photos were photoshopped. Immediately, I became a thorn in everyone's side, receiving countless harassing calls and endless insults. The situation blew up. The school not only gave me a heavy disciplinary mark, but nearly expelled me. I couldn't escape the unjust death she caused. I clenched my fist, staring at Jessica with hate. There were 4 people in the room, but because I was an orphan, Jessica thought I was weak and bullied me. I suffered too much in my past life. Now that heaven's given me a second chance, I have to reverse things and make her get what's coming to her. I opened my phone, seeing the group chat exploding. Jessica's lingerie pics were drawing everyone's attention. Soon, mocking comments popped up. "Sis, stop posting backshots. Don't think a dude can pretend to be a girl by wearing lingerie, lol." Such a corny joke. The taunts kept coming. Jessica's face went dark as the bottom of a pot, her hand holding her phone trembling. I stood to the side, unable to help but smirk. I knew that soon she'd blame me again, like before. I decided to make a move. Before Jessica even could. "Posting pics like that, don't you think it's disgusting?" I said, directly criticizing her in an attacking tone. Hearing what I said, Jessica's face became even more warped, her eyes full of anger. "Luna," she started, directly calling me by name. That put my mind at ease. I gave her a long look, then climbed into bed. This life, I want to see Jessica dig her own grave, to expose everything. Doing it now is too easy. She needs to taste what I tasted. Last night, screenshots of the group chat somehow spread online. The whole internet was blowing up. Everyone was joking below the school's homepage post. Once things got serious, higher-ups had to step in. Only then did Jessica get scared. That morning, I got out of bed to see her already sitting at her desk, looking at me with a cold laugh. "You dared to provoke me? You should know the consequences." Her childish statement made me dumbfounded, until just now, seeing her post on the school's message board. I clicked on the video. In it, she held up her student ID, looking right at the camera, with tears rolling down her face. She played the role of victim like she'd suffered the greatest injustice. Last night, I left my phone on my desk. I don't know why, but on the very first day, my roommate had such malice for me and took pictures of my body and spread them. She just kept talking while sobbing. I don't want to hold them legally responsible. I just hope she'll apologize and everyone will ignore it. Even veteran actors would probably have to admit defeat at her acting skills. I pulled back my bed's curtain and asked, seeing her still sitting in her seat, "Why'd you do that? You think making stuff up is so funny." Hearing me, she sneered, raising her chin. "An orphan should know their place. What's wrong with you, a fatherless, motherless B*TCH, being my stepping stone? So, what if I framed you? You just have to take it." She didn't know I already knew that her story last night was a lie, so this time, I intentionally recorded our talk. Her words were just what I expected. I glanced at her meaningfully and pulled the curtain closed. "I hope you won't regret the video." Jessica posted that morning spread like wildfire all over social media. The entire school was buzzing. Not wasting a moment, I reposted the video of our talk to my social media account and on the school's bulletin board. She wanted to ruin me this way. I would use the same way to pay her back. Jessica probably kept a close watch on the online reaction. A half-hour later, she realized the comments were starting to change and followed them to the video of our talk. "Luna, you dared to trap me." She went crazy and rushed at my bed, trying to pull me out, but I slapped her head to the side. She stood, stunned. "Respect each other like honored guests? I'm too weak to shoulder such a heavy burden. If you dare cause trouble again next time, I don't know what I'll put online." My threatening tone and cold gaze made her scared to do anything more. She just glared at me, full of hate, but didn't say anything else. Right then, our other two roommates came back. Seeing the atmosphere, they didn't dare butt in. The whole room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. The dorm was eerily silent. A few days passed, then came the military training drills. Being grilled by the sun all day, plus the merciless trainers, I felt like I was going to die each time I got back from the training ground. I became less wary of Jessica. My relationship with our other two roommates got better and better. After her lingerie photo scandal, the school had severely punished her. Her spirit was broken, and she was like a rat living in the shadows, a negligible presence in the dorm. My roommates and I took that as a blessing. I lost count of how many times I accidentally saw Jessica's phone blowing up with harassing calls. It was intensely satisfying, but the way she looked at me became increasingly hateful. One day, after a grueling day of military training, I flopped into my seat, only to find Jessica, who always rushed to shower first, just sitting there. "You guys go first. I'll shower last." It didn't match her personality at all. She'd definitely cuss someone out if they tried to cut in line. This sudden act of kindness made me wary. A bold guess popped into my head. I showed nothing on my face, just nodded and let another friend shower first. I noticed Jessica's eyes kept darting to the bathroom, lit with excitement. I felt like something was off, but couldn't put my finger on it. Right then, the dorm leader passed by and stepped on some trash Jessica had carelessly left on the floor and slipped. "Jessica can't be bothered to clean, and now you're littering everywhere?" After a tiring day, it's easy to snap. The dorm leader's criticism didn't affect Jessica. "Just don't go near my spot. That's all. You don't watch where you're going, then blame others." Though she said it quietly, the dorm leader and I both heard it clearly. Knowing a fight was about to break out, I immediately ran to get between them. By chance, my eyes landed on a small box on Jessica's desk. I froze. Suddenly, I realized what was up.
She was planning something.
Seeing my eyes on the box, Jessica's face changed immediately. She quickly pushed it far back on her desk and glared at us. I couldn't take it. I rushed to the bathroom door and pounded on it. After a few knocks, the door opened. My friend was washing her hair, still in her clothes. I sighed in relief. The tiring military training almost made me forget what a vile person Jessica was. I was lucky I remembered today. I turned around. The hate and resentment from my past life flooded back, and my face went dark. "Jessica, what did you do in the bathroom?" Hearing me ask, she immediately started loudly defending herself. I didn't bother listening, rushing over to snatch her phone. The password was easy. I quickly unlocked it. Seeing me looking through her phone, Jessica frantically lunged to grab it back, but she was too late. The sound of running water started playing from a video. Everyone was shocked. In my past life, to prove my innocence, I bought a tiny spycam online to record evidence of Jessica's true face. The box on her desk looked exactly like the box I bought that camera in. I immediately connected everything. Tonight's oddness, the box, and her reaction all made me act without a second thought. "Who let you install a spy cam in the dorm bathroom?" "Jessica, you're so disgusting." I didn't hesitate to expose her true colors. With the evidence so obvious, Jessica had no way to deny it. She went berserk. "You're not all hoping to get a boyfriend? So, what if I help you? You probably don't even have anyone wanting to watch you anyway." Her absurd sophistry made my two roommates shake with anger, especially the one who'd just gone in the bathroom. Even though she wasn't filmed, this wasn't a joke. She immediately slapped Jessica hard in the face. The other friend didn't want to be left out either. All three of them started fighting. I really wanted to do something, but thinking about my situation, if I laid a hand on her, it would be trouble. Meanwhile, those two had well-off families. They had nothing to be afraid of. I stood aside, pretending not to be involved, but still found times to pinch Jessica to get my revenge. "I'm calling the cops. Just you wait. I'm gonna send you all to prison," Jessica screamed, but immediately got slapped again by one of the others. "Call the cops? My family's got enough money to buy a dozen of you. Today, we're calling the cops to pick up trash." Even though they were talking tough, they were still students. They only beat her for a while, then stopped. Jessica wouldn't dare call the cops, because if this got out, her life would be over. After that day, she was like a ghost in the dorm. But we didn't completely ignore her. The two roommates thought about it for days, then decided to report the situation to our advisor. After checking, they found 3 tiny spy cams hidden in the dorm. 2 of them were in the bathroom. We were so freaked out, we didn't want to live in the same room as someone like that. "Ma'am, we can't live with someone like her. Who knows when we'll get filmed?" the dorm leader said angrily, her eyes full of fury. "That's right. There were 2 cameras in the bathroom. What if we get filmed?" I chimed in. To be honest, I didn't want Jessica kicked out. I wanted her to suffer even more. The advisor looked troubled. She was still young, only a few years older than us. She'd already heard about the lingerie pics Jessica posted in the group chat, so she didn't have a good impression of her anyway. But the dorm situation was tight. Changing rooms wasn't easy. "It's not that I don't want to help you girls, but we have to wait till there's an opening or you move out. Then we can solve it." The advisor gave us a solution. My 2 roommates couldn't move out because their families were too strict, and I lived on assistance. How would I pay rent? Disappointed, we went back to wait for a room to open up. When we got in the dorm, Jessica, like she knew what was going on, sneered and said, "Heard you were trying to get rid of me. How'd that go, haha?" Her mocking questions and nasty laughter made us furious. As I went to retort, her phone, the one she just got, started ringing. She looked at the screen. Her face immediately changed. She scrambled to shut it off, but immediately another call came. Still wallowing in public opinion, she realized she couldn't rely on the advisor. The other roommates decided to convince their parents to let them move out. They called home and told them everything, describing Jessica as an unforgivable, terrible person. Finally, after 2 hours of talking, they convinced their parents. But just when they were about to move, an unexpected thing happened. The advisor said she'd found an opening and was asking Jessica to move. Hearing this, my roommates almost threw a party. "Jessica, did you hear that? The advisor told you to get lost." The dorm leader gloated, looking at her pretending to sleep in her bed with a look of contempt. Now that everything was out in the open, these taunting words became normal. After a while, she couldn't fight back and just pretended to be deaf. But this time, hearing she had to move, Jessica threw back the curtain and ran to the advisor's office. Seeing as something wasn't right, the dorm leader and I followed. As it turned out, she was begging the advisor, "Ma'am, I don't want to live with the upperclassmen. They'll bully me." Before her pleading was even over, her phone started ringing. Seeing the caller, her eyes lit up and she immediately answered. A lewd voice came from the other end, asking how much for a night. The advisor initially was about to reject it outright, but hearing the content of the call, her face changed immediately. With the compassion of youth, she softened. "Teacher, before I posted those photos because my real mom passed away early after that, a stepmom took care of me. I don't really know much about these things, and I ask like that." The teacher in charge tearfully began telling about how her past teacher had abandoned her as a small child and she'd had to grow up in a foster home filled with abuse. She had no support system. Moreover, I didn't try to install cameras in the dorm. It was because I found that my belongings kept getting lost. She also knew that my dad didn't give me much money because I have a stepmom. Jessica, finished teacher in charge, looked at her empathy. "Put her down on the chair, wrong on me. I had prejudice against her without true standard ground if I knew had tragedy, so teacher in charge start out waterworks to show the sense of commiseration. Find that the mood is gloomy. The tragic between both chief in charge do not stand tighten sound. True, the teacher is act well the first day of enrollment. Mom comes to have done is assist her in cleaning the bed. She dares say mother had passed early. I put out my hand. I prevent the chief, did not need to worry. I take the phone gently in the sight of the teacher to indicate the first locality resident from family to school. It take half an hour journey. Previously, she would brag about this in chat. I do not intend today now turn into against her lying. Now be in charge, and her sit talk in office, nearly a full hour. Finally the chief put a hand and show us under one look did not recognize. With smile fully mock and give glance teacher did not get up at the corner of the eyes and said the two have come here to make trouble. At one go put out of the woman in the middle come, hear her of family, is the mother true the chief in charge be not understand the situation. In the middle of a story. Take it out anger I had to put up a hand did I do it? What would get lost here the chief, the teacher here did not show enough a mother would have been angry by me. In the old story what the situation, do you want as the matter I was the only daughter, but did not take the teacher there. The student did not take a to do what the story would say that you'd go make trouble. I can turn on the teacher to hear. And it was with some, I do it. I hate her because of the chief with anger and show. I was the place where that I get that I put a foot a bad girl. To see the teacher and with the attitude or what, do not to show a mother do the old story I turn on for people who like that you will find what is so what does the story tell? And if you get hurt by the mother that take everything to the side it would be for that we go but to stay. The story. In that, it would get you angry if you were the teacher with anger. Do not show that a story. And is it with one it is a great story. We was the only daughter that take everything to the side with us the chief did that would let you and did it. I have here the to aside the chief who is me, for the bad with us. The is with the woman with a face there with take it or with the story or that if a bad and true will show or what here story now, and nevermore the family with a face a here the lady what is in charge, there with the family, and with the look is for what that one a bad story to it. Continue for people to show the teacher, did not that in it her story here would say what, the away I can show. After that, Jessica was transferred out of the dormitory. The 4-person room, missing one person, was finally quiet. But my true revenge plan had only just begun. When I first came back, I only intended to teach her a small lesson, but what she did was disgusting. For personal gain, she didn't hesitate to install hidden cameras in the bathroom, trying to drag everyone down into the mud just because she didn't want to move out. She dared to fabricate a story about her mother's death to gain sympathy. People like her being subjected to online violence or being forced to drop out of school was still too light. She deserved to experience the tragedy I had in my past life. I regret everything that happened during this time. I wrote it all down fully. When military training ended, my schedule and my 2 roommates' schedules didn't overlap. One morning when they went out to school, I took all the evidence I had prepared over the past few days and posted it online. I used an anonymous account to post articles on every platform and on the school bulletin board. To punish Jessica, I didn't hide her real name. The old story that had just subsided exploded on social media like a bomb again, especially the detail that she installed a camera in the dormitory because she had lost something, which caused netizens to constantly mock her. This time, Jessica had no way out. That afternoon, the whole school was buzzing. Even some leaders called her into work, fearing the negative impact of the event. If it wasn't resolved well, public opinion would explode. That night, when I returned to the dormitory, I saw Jessica loitering in front of the door. Finally, she gritted her teeth and walked in. Curious, I moved closer and saw that she hadn't closed the door and was talking to the phone alone. Today, I'll prove my innocence. My old roommates all know what kind of person I am. Everything on the internet is slander. Hearing this, I immediately understood her intention. She was live streaming, wanting to drag me into a trap to clear herself. I laughed coldly, pressed a few buttons on the phone, and then walked in. Seeing me, she immediately stood up and closed the door. Luna, we've slept in the same dormitory for so long. I was wrong before, but the affection between us is still there, right? I didn't know where she was hiding the live streaming phone. I only looked at her coldly without answering. Not caring, she continued to say, when I first entered the dormitory, I told you about my difficult circumstances. Afterwards, I lost things. You all knew about it, right? I was just worried that someone would do it again, so I installed the camera. Later, I knew that you didn't like me, so I automatically moved out. Now, social media is full of insults against me. Can you help me clarify? As she spoke, she tried to grab my hand. I pushed her hand away, took a few steps back, and then took the perfume on the table and sprayed it on my hands, wiping it clean with a tissue. Only then did I look at her mockingly. Can you still deceive yourself with those lies? Jessica's expression stiffened. I smiled faintly and continued. You posted those pictures to attract boys. When we reminded you, you turned around and scolded us. Who stole your things? I never heard you say. I only know that you installed 2 cameras in the bathroom. Hearing this, her eyes widened, and she hurriedly put her hand over my mouth, but I easily dodged it. You told the teacher that your mother had died, and you were now living with a stepmother. But on that very day, your mother rushed into the school and gave you a beating. If it weren't for that, how could you have moved out of the dormitory? Lying too much, so you thought it was true all the time, huh? My words were like a knife, cutting off all of Jessica's hopes of being cleared. She stood there stunned, her face pale, her hands clenched until they were trembling, but she didn't dare to be impudent because she was live streaming. In the end, she glared at me, hurriedly turned off the live stream. Only then did she dare to say, "You did this on purpose, didn't you?" I was almost able to explain it clearly. Why didn't you cooperate with me? I burst out laughing, looking at her with disdain. From the first day I entered the dormitory, you scolded me for being an orphan. So you think I'll help you explain and act with you? In my previous life, I had realized that Jessica was a problem. She always thought that the whole world had to revolve around her. As long as she wasn't satisfied, she would immediately scold others. So what if I scold you? You deserve it. Who told you to be a child without a father and mother? You'll never have anyone to love you in this life. Since I had memories, I had lived in an orphanage, never having been adopted by parents. For me, it was too far away, even a wound that couldn't be touched. Now, hearing Jessica's words insulting my parents, my emotions immediately exploded uncontrollably. When she raised her hand to slap me, I didn't hesitate to grab her wrist. My other hand forcefully responded with a resounding slap. The sound of the slap echoed throughout the room, and I felt relieved in my heart. Just at this moment, when her anger was surging, I took the phone out of my pocket, revealing the live stream that was taking place in front of her. I had spent a little money to push this live stream up, and plus, her incident was a hot topic. The number of views had already reached nearly 10,000 people. Seeing that number, her face stiffened and she dared not make any more rash actions. In front of her, I turned off the live stream and then stepped closer. An orphan? Doesn't your mother love you? Doesn't your father love you? What's the difference between you and me? What are you relying on to think you're superior to others? After speaking, I slapped her again. Jessica was furious to the point of madness. She raised both hands, trying to choke me, but I was ready. That day, she was slapped by me for 1 day then left the dormitory. When the 2 roommates came back and heard about it, they all exclaimed that she deserved it. I knew that her attempt to live stream to clear herself had completely backfired. In my eyes, her end was near. Unexpectedly, on the night she was forced to drop out of school, Jessica started another live stream at her house. As soon as I opened the short video application, I immediately received a recommendation for a live stream. She had been scolded so badly. She should have been hiding at home crying, right? How could she be so mentally strong that she could withstand the criticism? With suspicious thoughts, I clicked in to watch. The live stream had over 100,000 views. The main character, Jessica, was wearing a white dress, her face gloomy, staring at the camera. In reality, her bare face makeup was too bad. Under the dim light, you could still clearly see the smeared powder. I knew that you hate me, so today I decided to explain everything clearly to dispel the bad impressions you have of me. As soon as she said this, the comments immediately flooded. You said that last time too, but in the end, you were dragged out and shamed. You've already been expelled from school. What are you proving now? I heard the streamer has a nice body. Is anyone sharing pictures? Aren't you all a little empathetic? The streamer has a mental illness, and you're still laughing? The comments full of sarcasm and mockery scrolled past, causing Jessica to grit her teeth. Her face gradually became firm. After a few movements, The live stream switched to the kitchen. Do you guys believe that I have depression? Do you believe that I'm not lying anymore? These self-justifying and self-deceiving words didn't have as much impact as she had hoped. Most of the comments were still full of mockery, treating this as a joke. Her hands gradually tightened on the knife. Just when I thought that she was really going to end her life, her action stopped. Her expression suddenly became gloomy. Why should I die to exchange for your forgiveness? I have to drag the wrongdoer down to hell with me. After speaking, she picked up the knife and the phone and walked outside. An unusual feeling arose in me. She was heading towards me. I hurriedly checked again whether the door was locked. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief and put the phone on the table and then go take a bath. At this time, the two roommates were both in the dormitory. Moreover, there was no way for her to enter the school. I took a long bath. By the time I came out of the bathroom, more than half an hour had passed. Just as I sat down, intending to rest, there was a sudden knock on the door outside. Knock, knock. I and the dorm leader looked at each other. A sense of unease spread almost immediately. I took out my phone and checked the live stream. Her live stream had ended. I couldn't determine who was outside the door. Who is it? The dorm leader mustered up her courage and asked. There was no response, only the sound of the door continuing to knock. Just when I was hesitating whether to call the police or ignore it, the door of the room next door suddenly opened. The roommate next door was a rich young lady, known for being hot-tempered and strong-willed. Before I could text them, her piercing scream rang out, followed by Jessica's crazed voice. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door. Without hesitating any longer, I immediately called the police. Jessica had really gone crazy. She used the knife to continuously hit the iron door. The sharp sound echoed through the night, full of horror. Even though I had died once, I didn't dare to risk my life. I only knew to wait for the police to arrive. As I was trying to reassure myself, the door of the room suddenly clicked and opened. I stood frozen in place, facing Jessica's smiling face, full of perversion. Only the small night light on the table was shining. Her face gradually appeared from the darkness to the light. I kept backing away. The light from the knife she was holding made the fear in me rise to its peak. Luna, aren't you very good at talking? Why aren't you saying anything now? Her voice was both questioning and like she was playing with her prey before killing it. I didn't have enough courage to answer. Just as the knife was about to swing down, two roommates rushed out to save me. We were lucky to avoid a tragedy, but all three of us were slightly injured. The police arrived and arrested Jessica. That night, we had to stay in the hospital, unable to fall asleep. The next morning, when I went to the police station to make a statement, I learned that Jessica had a history of mental illness. She had suffered a great shock, suffered from paranoia, and the illness was getting worse and worse. Hearing the police, I only found it ridiculous. I once thought that the law could punish the person who harmed me in my previous life. But now I realized that I couldn't rely on anything at all. The days that followed, my mind was like wrapped in fog. I was reborn with a thirst for revenge. But even if I completed university, I still couldn't really integrate or forget everything until I suddenly realized that I was standing in front of the mental hospital where Jessica was staying. I walked in, and her family didn't care. The hospital was also dilapidated, with piles of feces on the floor. Following the nurse's instructions, I met Jessica again. She was now paralyzed, sitting in a wheelchair, pushing the chair while mumbling, "I'm a university student. I'm a university student. I'm a university student." As the wheelchair had just rolled a few meters, an old man from nowhere grabbed her hand and looked with a strange smile. Seeing him, Jessica's face immediately became panicked. She tried to push the car away, but was powerless. As she was pushed deep into the corridor, her panicked eyes accidentally met mine. "I'm a university student. Everyone loves me. I'm a university student. Everyone loves me." The repeated screaming echoed throughout the corridor, not stopping for a long time. I walked out of the mental hospital. The dark clouds in the sky had just dissipated. A ray of sunshine shone on my face. causing me to look up. The rain from yesterday had washed away the sky, leaving behind fluffy white clouds, looking so soft. I suddenly felt comforted in my heart. Jessica living in a place like that was definitely even more miserable. That was the punishment she deserved. When I returned to school, I began to seriously focus on studying, completely immersing myself in the good things that I had worked hard to win. People usually only realize the value of everything after everything has passed. One afternoon, the dorm leader looked at me and suddenly said, "I've noticed that you laugh a lot these days, and it seems like there's something on you that I can't describe." Hearing this, I was stunned for a moment and instinctively asked, "What is it?" "When you first entered university, all your attention was placed on Jessica. Maybe you didn't realize it, but I saw it very clearly." Seeing that I was silent, the dorm leader was afraid that I would misunderstand, so she quickly added, "I didn't intentionally observe you, but your expressions were too obvious, Luna. Do you know who you are?"
Who am I?
"Maybe I know." The dorm leader's words were like a loud bell echoing in my head, causing me to suddenly wake up. Because of my orphan status for the first 18 years of my life, I had to endure all kinds of discrimination and isolation. I was always too concerned about the eyes of others. Then, when I just entered university, I met Jessica. At that time, I didn't know how to face it and was finally harmed to death. After being reborn, I always thought that as long as I took revenge on her, I could free myself. But until today, I suddenly realized that only when I let go of the past and improve myself can I truly be freed. Today, the weather is nice. Let's take a walk, okay?